Hi everyone, I'm MissV. Today I want to talk about Amy. Amy, Child of Stars is actually a pretty famous book, written by Enrique Barrios. On the surface, it looks like a children's sci-fi story, but once you get into it, you realize it's profound, far deeper than you might imagine. The story is quite simple. It's about Amy, an alien kid. He takes a boy named Pedro on a journey across the stars. And here is the interesting part. Amy actually asked Pedro to write down everything he saw and heard, including their conversations, and turned it into a book for children. So what seems like a children's story is really a disguise. It's hiding profound truths about the universe. Pedro was 12 years old, a boy from Chile. He was spending his summer vacation at his grandma's house. He often went to the beach to play. One day, while he was playing at the beach, a sudden red flash shot across the sky. Something like an airplane crashed into the sea right in front of him. Pedro was terrified. He thought he had just witnessed a plane crash. But then, from that spot, someone started swimming toward him. At first, Pedro thought it was a pilot who had somehow survived, so he rushed forward to help. But as the figure got closer, he realized it wasn't a pilot at all. It was a boy about his own age, just in strange white clothes. Pedro asked, "What happened to the plane?" The boy said, "Just an emergency landing, nothing serious." "So what's your name?" "You can call me friend," Pedro said. In Spanish, friend is amigo, so I can call you Amy. At this point in the story, you might wonder, why doesn't this boy have his own name? Why did Pedro choose one for him? Just then, Amy asked, "Do you believe in aliens? Are you an alien? If I were, would you be afraid?" Pedro suddenly felt afraid. "Then are you a bad guy?" Amy laughed. "Maybe you are worse than me, because you are the Earthling." Turns out, Amy was an alien. His real name was impossible for humans to pronounce, so he accepted Amy as his name. Though he looked like a child, he was in fact an adult. On his planet, everyone looks like a child, no matter their age. Pedro realized Amy was hinting that Earthlings aren't very friendly. He got angry. "Why do you say we Earthlings are bad?" Amy didn't answer directly. Instead, he suddenly asked, "Why do you want to punch me?" Pedro froze. He was shocked. That was exactly the thought that had just flashed through his mind. Amy could read it. He could read human mind. Then Amy pulled out a small advanced device. It looked like a glowing handheld screen, but it functions like eyes, showing what was happening anywhere in the world. Pedro stared in shock. At that moment, he was completely convinced Amy was really an alien. Amy said, "In the universe, there are hundreds of millions or even billions of planets. Many of them have life and civilizations, but those who cross the stars and reach Earth are never the bad ones. Why? Think about this. As a civilization develops, it almost always invents destructive weapons first, because building bombs is thousands of times easier than building spaceships. So if a civilization's technology advances quickly, but its wisdom lags behind, they will turn those weapons against each other, starting wars. Eventually, they will destroy themselves before they ever have the chance to explore the stars. On the other hand, if a civilization's wisdom is advanced, but its technology lags behind, they would remain primitive, unable to explore the universe, as if the cosmos has set up a filter. Only civilizations with advanced technology and advanced wisdom can move into higher dimensions." Pedro said, "But in the movies, we always see aliens coming to Earth to destroy humanity and take over the planet." Amy said, "That is only a product of human imagination. If an alien civilization were truly evil, they would have already turned their weapons against each other, destroying themselves on their own planet. They could never advance far enough to cross the stars and reach Earth." Pedro said, But maybe on those planets, a few bad people might survive by chance. Amy said, actually, there is no such thing as chance. The order of the universe is extremely precise, governed by perfect laws. It only seemed accidental to you because you cannot yet see the deeper patterns behind it. Right now, Earth is full of pollution, viruses, and wars. It truly faces the possibility of destruction. Pedro said, then you can help us, maybe send some spaceships to us, or speak directly with our world leaders. Amy said, no, I cannot do this. There is a universal law. Higher civilizations cannot interfere with other civilizations. There are many reasons for this. First, panic. If aliens intervene directly, it could cause mass panic, and some people might even die of shock. Second, misunderstanding. Humans might think it was a conspiracy, that aliens wanted to dominate Earth. Out of fear, humans might attack aliens instead, and that could bring disaster. Third, dependency. Last but not least, people could become overly reliant on their help, losing the chance to grow on their own. So at most, aliens can only give humanity hints. For example, UFOs often appear near nuclear weapons as a way to remind humanity that the intelligent life exists beyond Earth and that our nuclear development is being watched. Or just like Amy did, guiding Pedro to write this book as a children's story so others might receive the message. Why as a children's story? Because if it were written as an adult story, it would raise too many problems. He might even be regarded as insane or taken away for scientific study. After talking for a while, it was getting late, and Pedro had to go back to his grandmother's house to sleep. The two of them walked home together, and on the way they ran into two policemen. One policeman asked, "Kid, what are you doing out here so late? And where did you get these strange clothes?" Amy replied, "From my planet." "What? Are you an alien?" "That's right." "Then where is your spaceship?" "Under the sea." Pedro said he was terrified when he heard this exchange, because Amy was telling the truth. Later, Amy froze the two policemen and erased their memories. Pedro asked, "How did you do that?" Amy said, "With hypnosis." "Actually, you have been under hypnosis all along. You don't know?" Amy said, "It's not just you. Almost everyone on Earth is hypnotized. Every day, people are worrying about this or that, their minds full of fantasies, delusions, anxieties about the future. They can't live in the present moment. For example, just now you were afraid the policeman might hurt me, and because of that, you missed the waves, the flowers, and the fresh air around you. That's what it means to be hypnotized by negative forces." Soon, they reached Pedro's grandmother's house. Pedro asked, "So what are you going to do now?" Amy said, "I'm going for a ride in outer space." Pedro had been really sleepy, but when he heard that, he woke right up and begged Amy to take him along. Amy agreed, thinking it would help Pedro write this book. Amy went to get the spaceship ready. Pedro waited by the sea. The longer he waited, the more nervous he felt. Could this boy, who looks about my age, really be a bad guy in disguise? Could he be planning to kidnap me? Just then, an oval-shaped spaceship rose slowly from the water. Its colorful lights lit up the night sky and the waves. The ship hovered above him and pulled him inside. Amy read his thoughts. "Relax," he said. "Nothing bad is going to happen. Those wild fears are the real problem. They only show the ugly side of your thinking. If you can let go of these negative ideas, you will see that life is actually simple and beautiful. Remember that." Pedro calmed down. To his surprise, he realized he was already inside the spaceship, flying into the sky. They piloted the spaceship and in an instant traveled to Africa, India and Japan. Suddenly, Amy received a mission from the above. He instantly moved the spaceship above the forest in Alaska. Then he flew in a triangular path, and the spaceship kept flashing different colors. Pedro asked, "What are you doing?" Amy said, "I need to make sure this man remembers this moment forever. That's my mission." Then Amy pulled out a device and scanned the hunter. The screen showed 750 degrees. Pedro asked, "What's that?" Amy said, "It's a measure of his soul evolution degree. The closer to divinity, the higher the number. The closer to animal instinct, the lower. 750 degrees is already very high. Generally, animals score much lower. A bear, 200 degrees. A fish, 50 degrees. Amy, what's your soul degree?" 760 degrees. Huh? Only 10 more than Hunter. Exactly. There are people on Earth that reach 800 degrees, such as teachers, doctors, artists. I may not be higher than them. Pedro asked, "What about my uncle? He's a physicist, very smart. He studies weapons." Amy said, "If he studies weapons, then his degrees won't be high. Using intelligence to build weapons is playing with fire. In the end, weapons always harm those who make them." Pedro asked, "How about me? How many degrees do I have?" Amy smiled. "I can't tell you. If it's high, you will be proud. If it's low, you will be sad." Pedro asked, "Why do some people have higher degrees?" Amy said, "No one starts with a high degree. It comes after many cycles of life and death, slowly accumulated. For example, if you hurt someone, others will hurt you back. When you truly feel the pain of being hurt, you won't want to hurt others anymore. Step by step, you learn to control negative thoughts. You learn to love. That's how the degree rises. So the way you are now is actually the result of all your past efforts and mistakes combined. Every wrong you once made, every kindness you once gave, all of it is recorded and it decides your degree today. The unpleasant experiences in your life are mostly the consequences of your past actions, and some of them are challenges you must go through so that you can learn to love more. All of it is meant to help your soul evolve." By now, I believe you have realized it's not just a simple children's book. The truths hidden inside are as profound as those in Conversations with God. I will talk about that book another time. Slowly, they arrived at another planet, the planet Ophir. Amy said the people here actually migrated from Earth. They have been living on this planet for thousands of years. Back then, Earth's technology advanced quickly, but its wisdom lagged behind. Atomic bombs were used in wars, leading to devastating destruction. Some people fled to other continents, while Amy's people rescued all those whose soul degree were above 700 and brought them here to begin a new life. Pedro asked, "If Earth faced another disaster, will you come to save us again?" Amy said, "Yes, we will come to save you again, but only those whose soul degree is above 700. Pedro asked, "How can someone reach above 700? Amy said, "Anyone who can selflessly do good for others, purely out of love, will reach above 700 degree. But this kindness cannot be limited to family alone. It must extend to wider circles of humanity, even to the whole world. Acts of kindness are those that do not violate the basic laws of the universe." Pedro asked, "What are the basic laws of the universe?" Amy smiled. "That I'll explain later. For now, just observe this planet carefully." At that moment, Pedro was stunned by the sight before him. The planet looked like paradise. There were plants in dazzling colors, like a rainbow had spilled across the land. Rolling hills went on, and the lakes and the rivers sparkled in the sunlight, as if the whole world was glowing. Up in the sky, vehicles were flying around gracefully. And unbelievably, there were pyramids, just like the ones in Egypt. But what amazed Pedro most was the people of Ophir. They wore pure white robes, nearly 3 meters tall, with bronze-colored skin, just like giants straight out of the ancient Egyptian painting. In fact, they were descendants of Atlantis, the legend continent that sank beneath the sea. Pedro noticed that people always walked together, friendly and close, with relaxed smiles on their face. They seemed open-hearted without any worry at all. Why are they so happy? Amy said, because they realized long ago that simply living in a good house is the greatest happiness. But people on Earth haven't realized this. They keep worrying about all kinds of problems, hypnotized by negative forces. Pedro wanted to go down and meet them, but Amy stopped him. No, you can't. The bacteria on your body would kill all of them. I'm immune because I took a special vaccine. On Ophir, no people or living beings eat meat. They only eat vegetables. Pedro ate only 3 to 5 amber-colored nuts, each about the size of a walnut, and felt completely full. After chatting for a while, Pedro felt exhausted, and Amy explained that it's because he couldn't digest so much information at once. So Amy led him to a sofa and told him to rest. Pedro fell into a deep sleep, but when he woke up, he felt refreshed, full of energy. To his surprise, he had only slept for 15 minutes. It turned out Amy had used a recharging device. 15 minutes in it was like sleeping for 8 hours. That's why higher dimensional beings barely need sleep. They can spend more time living longer with better quality and in great happiness. Here, everyone lives close to nature, not in the concrete and metal buildings you see on Earth. When too many people are crowded together, it's not only uncomfortable, it's even unhealthy for the human spirit. Wide open spaces, forests, and flowers bring real happiness. The more evolved a being is, the more they need a natural environment. The only thing that seems similar to Earth is marriage. Here, people only have one husband or wife, and their bond endures for a very long time. In this natural setting, life is filled with art and music. While Amy was listening to music, Pedro was shocked to hear songs from the Beatles. You listen to Earth music too? Pedro asked. Amy said, great music belongs to the whole universe. The finest art from Earth, such as films and music, we collect them because they are languages of love. And Earth art has a special advantage. It can be recorded and passed down through CDs, sheet music, films. On other planets, people communicate through consciousness. Their music and art exist at the level of thought. An artist imagines it, and others can hear or see it directly in their mind. But that makes it harder to preserve for future generations. Amy told Pedro that on Ophir there are no countries, no presidents, no competition, and no money. Everything is shared. Even spaceships are available for everyone to use, and their daily life is about learning, serving others, and helping less developed planets. What humans call work doesn't exist here. It's all done by machines, because everything here is controlled by supercomputers. Pedro asked, so that means nobody has to work? Amy said, there are always things you can choose to do, but work here isn't about survival. It's done out of love, and everyone arranges their own time freely, since the basic law of the universe is love. Only when you do good out of love can your soul's degree rise above 700. As mentioned before, when Earth faces destruction again, only those whose soul degree is above 700 will be saved. So that is very important for us to reach 700 degrees. So what is love? It's hard to explain, almost impossible to fully define. To help Pedro feel it, Amy briefly took him into another dimension. In that place, Flowers and plants were alive, singing with their own awareness. He even saw a girl with sky blue skin, and in that instant, he was flooded with a feeling of love so powerfully, unlike anything he had ever known on earth. But as soon as he left that world, the feeling disappeared completely, as if it had been flattened by the limits of the lower dimension. Amy said God is everything, and God became love. So everything is love. Everything is made of love. Love is an energy that fills the universe, shaping everything into different forms depending on its frequency. Love is the most important force in life. Think of the Beatles songs you just heard. When you loved that music, it becomes meaningful in your world. But if you don't love it, then for you it simply doesn't exist. If you don't love this song but I do, then I have more joy, and I am happier than you. That's why love is humanity's greatest ability. Only through love can you form a real connection with the world. We need to love everything in life. The sunlight we wake up to, the streets we walk each day, the people we meet, even strangers. Without love in our hearts, even the brightest sun, the most beautiful streets, the kindest person can pass right before our eyes, yet we don't truly see them. They never become part of our lives, and we cannot feel their beauty. This happens because these things are so common that we take them for granted. We forgot to be grateful. Imagine being born blind, and one day suddenly being able to see. You'd feel that having clear eyes is the most incredible gift. Or imagine your legs bad injured, and after months or years of recovery, you can finally walk again. You'd feel that walking is pure happiness. But if you already have clear eyes and healthy legs and never realize they are a gift, then you are just like most people, hypnotized by negative forces. That is why we need to love everything, even the ordinary, the everyday, the familiar. Because only love allows us to truly connect with the world. And only love can turn daily life into happiness. After saying all this, Amy said goodbye to Pedro and went back to his spaceship. On the way home, Pedro felt the whole world renewed. Everything seemed different. The sun above, the grass beneath his feet, the flowers along the road, all of it was breathtakingly beautiful. Pedro felt he had become different, as if everything around him was shining. And he finally understood, love does not change the world outside, it changes the way we see it. And that is where happiness begins.